It's time to pull those belts tight, race fans. The front stretch is coming at you, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Now, here's Dan Taylor and Dirk Houston.
Well, good morning to you, race fans, and welcome to the front stretch presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs, online at joeskarting.com. Fast-paced white-knuckle racing just crossed the river on 23rd Avenue in Council Bluffs. Get over to Joe's Karting today for a little indoor kart racing, and get over there on Tuesday night. They're going to open up the slick track one more time. It's going to be open, I believe I saw the hours, from 4 to 10, and it's the pricing is on their Facebook page. Head over to Joe's Karting, karting with a K, and get more information on that. But the slick track going to be opened up. It's a rare thing that they're going to do every once in a while. They'll announce it on the Facebook page, and then you can go and check it out. It's basically the circle. They take out most of the turns, and it's just a circle track. And with the speeds, it's slick.
Oh, I thought they were actually prepping the track with something.
Were they?
I thought they were. I'm not positive, but I thought they were prepping it with something. But the article I read on it said they were going to do it like the second Tuesday, I think, of every month.
Okay.
So
Slick Track Tuesdays coming April 9th. So that's coming up this Tuesday, 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. Get over to Joe's Karting Facebook page or their website for more details and information. Races are $15 plus tax for one race. 2 races, $28.50. 3 races, $40.50. That's per person and plus tax. You will need a 3-day membership, a day membership for $3 or an annual membership for $7. All the races are 20 laps. joeskarting.com for more information on that. Let's see. Boy, I tell you, just a quick conversation. We've been seeing pictures being posted about I-29 Dragway and the road course. They're still, at last check, they were still under at least 2 feet of water, and we got more rain this week. I was down in that area a little over a week and a half ago, and boy, I wasn't prepared for the devastation. I mean, you've been seeing pictures on Facebook, and that doesn't really kind of shock you very much. I mean, it does a little bit because you can recognize the area if you see pictures of Maple Street or what have you. But, man, I was down in that area, in the Malvern area, about a week and a half ago, and that's scary stuff down there. And, I mean, I feel for those farmers because, you know, I hate to rank where these guys are at, but they're in a bad pickle. You talk about a lot of these people that have lost their house. These guys, some of these farmers have lost their way of life. I mean, this farmland is unfarmable now. There's about 1.5 to 2 feet of sand sitting on top of the soil.
well, it's just going to take a lot of work to be able to work that off and blend it in and, you know, plow it under, then disc it and plow it again. I mean, you're a farm boy. You know it can be done. But it's just not going to be a normal spring season for those guys.
And one 3-day period that unleashed all that water is going to have repercussions for years to come.
Yeah. Well, look at Nebraska and the cattle industry, all the calves that were lost and everything. Yep. I mean, you don't just make that up in a year or two. It's going to take 10, 15 years, and it's going to be a year or two before they got all the roads straightened out, even though they're working tirelessly right now, you know, trying to get the roads put back together, but it's not just going to happen overnight.
And those guys are definitely the you can't say it any better than that. They're working overtime, they're working their butts off. I've seen crews all over Omaha not only fixing potholes but fixing missing sections of the roads. They got to replace the dirt, let it settle. I mean, it's going to be a long process. Bring your patience, but we're all going to get through it. And ladies and gentlemen, we have finally entered race season.
Well,
we got again, we recorded on Thursday, so the last information I had was that racing at I-80 Speedway on Friday and Saturday were a thumbs up. Everything was all set to go unless there was some sort of a freak rain shower that came through. Practice got in on Thursday night, and they raced one of the days, if not both of them, on Friday and Saturday at I-80, and then Marshalltown and Boone for the Frostbuster, the IMCA Frostbuster.
Hopefully got there because I saw they were getting a little rain over in central Iowa too, so hopefully they get their shows in.
Hey, let's talk about what happened at the O'Reilly Auto Parts 500 at Texas Motor Speedway. Overall thoughts of the race, I thought, and I think the Fox officials pointed it out, and I agreed with them, not the officials, the broadcast guys. I thought that this was very much the most competitive race we've seen in a very long time. We talked last weekend at Martinsville where I felt like nobody had a car for Brad Keselowski. He had the car hands down. There's been other times where we've seen Martin Truex Jr. at Kansas. Nobody's got anything for him. Or Martin Truex Jr. at Charlotte a couple of years ago when he led nearly every lap. And I think that there was 5 or 6 different guys that could have had a win, could have had the win if the pit strategy would have rolled out a little bit better or a little bit differently for him, or the race had unfolded a little bit differently. I think this was a very, very good race, and a good race for the new aero package.
Well, and see, I thought it was a good race. It was interesting to watch. Like you said, the plot kept switching. Mm-hmm. But the guy with the clean air was still fast, you know?
Yeah, but it wasn't as bad as in Texas in the past. Texas in the past has been very much, as soon as you get your nose out there, you're gone.
Well, that's what guys did this time. And I mean, I watched most of the Xfinity race. I didn't quite catch it all, but it was the same there. If you got out front, like everybody, you know, was Kyle Busch was going for the sweep. I did miss the truck race Friday, so I didn't get to see that. But everybody was, you know, Kyle Busch going for the sweep. There was no way Kyle Busch should have won that Xfinity race. He was running around, I think, in fourth place, and somebody ran out of gas on pit road with 11 or 12 laps to go and got a caution. Mm-hmm. And they were in a roundup. Everybody was having to stop for fuel, so everybody stopped for fuel, and he just took a little less fuel than everybody else and got to the front, and, you know, off he went.
Yeah.
But, yeah, he was a third or fourth place car there.
On Sunday, Ryan Blaney had a very good car, finishing 5th in Stage 1, 2nd in Stage 2, but began to overheat late in the race. Was only able to complete 225 laps, walked away with a 37th place finish. Brad Keselowski, I'm trying to remember what happened to Brad K.
He was scuffing tires and broke an axle or the rear end or something to the gear. I'm not sure what he broke.
Something broke loose in the back end of that car. He ended up finishing 36th. It happened early. Even though he was able to complete 279 laps, he went way down.
Oh, yeah, he finished 50-some laps down or something like that.
And even though he was able to get it fixed and get back out there and run some laps and able to pick up a 36th place finish, he only walked away with 1 point on the day. Joey Logano, who won stage number 1, fell off late in the race and ended up finishing 17th. Kyle Busch, who finished 8th in stage 1 and 4th in stage 2, just didn't really seem to have that strong of a car, even though I believe, I take that back, he led the most laps of all the drivers, 6 times for 66 laps. Okay, well, we're going to have to go to church now because of that. He ended up finishing 10th on the day. But Denny Hamlin was the winner, not picking up, didn't finish in the top 10 in stage 1, won stage number 2, and then picked up the win. Led 3 times for 45 laps. Listen to this. Denny Hamlin, Clint Bowyer, Daniel Suarez, Eric Jones, Jimmy Johnson, William Byron, Eric Almirola, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Austin Dillon, and Michael McDowell, along with Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney, all led laps last Sunday at Texas.
Well, when you get green flag pit stops, a lot of that's going to happen.
You know, and you have some of those, you know, led 3 laps, led 2 laps, but Eric Jones, Jimmy Johnson, 30 and 60 laps, they were good quality laps. And going back to, I think it was anybody's race to win on Sunday.
Well, Jimmy Johnson, right off the get-go, you know, was fast off the pole, and I was surprised he fell off a little bit, you know, through the center part of the race because he had one of the better cars with a 10-lap average, and Kyle Larson, you don't know where he would have ended up because he came through the field pretty good. He started, didn't he start about 21st or something like that? Finished last.
Started 22nd.
Okay. But, yeah, he got up around 5th place or something in that first stage and then slapped the wall there. And
Your other top 10, Clint Bowyer came home with a runner-up finish. Daniel Suarez in 3rd, Eric Jones in 4th, Jimmy Johnson in 5th. William Byron, Eric Almirola, Kevin Harvick, Kurt Busch, and Kyle Busch rounded out your top 10. Who did you have for Sunday?
I took Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah, I took Johnson, and on my on my 5-man team, I had Kyle Larson, Brad Keselowski, and you know, I was really complaining when Keselowski blew up because I took Blaney out and put Keselowski in. So, you know, when it was all said and done, it was like,
yeah,
you know. But I had Jimmy Johnson and Kurt Busch, so.
I ended up taking Daniel Suarez for the season-long contest presented by Rick Haven, Ridge of Wealth Partners. I really wrestled all day Saturday and Sunday with Jimmy Johnson or Daniel Suarez. Inevitably, watching qualifying is what made me decide to take Daniel Suarez because I was thoroughly impressed with his single-car qualifying times, and he was able to qualify 4th. He didn't play around that junk game of let's all sit on pit road and run out with a minute left to go. He went out there and ran some incredibly good times, 3 rounds in a row on a single-car qualifying lap. And so I thought that spoke a lot to me that if he's able to be that fast in a single-car qualifying effort, Imagine what he's going to be like when he gets into that draft and that arrow comes into effect. Jimmy Johnson, I'm not. Oddly enough, the 7-time champion didn't seem secure enough to me to pick. So I went with the young gun, Daniel Suarez, in the 41 machine.
He was. I kind of told myself before the race. I mean, I took Johnson, and I said he won at this track 2 years ago, starting in dead last in 17.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of told myself, if he's starting on the pole and he can't come home with at least a top 5 and maybe win a segment, then he should probably think about getting out at the end of the year.
Yeah,
I really did. But he fought all day. He had some dull spots in the middle of the race. Somebody about wrecked him one time right on the front straightaway. I want to say it was Eric Jones. Got into him.
Yeah, I got into the back of him because he was coming up to speed, wasn't he? He was coming up to speed getting...
No. They were just... Jones had a run on him on the high line coming out of 3 and 4. It happened right on the front straightaway, right in the dog leg there. And Jimmy made a real good save there and was late in the race too. So, but a top 5, that's kind of, he had a top 5 type car. So the fact that he got up there and stayed there, I think it was a good run, good effort for their team.
I agree.
Some of the other cars, Alex Bowman, not Bowman, but William Byron in the 24 made a real big run for Hendrick. So, like I said, Kyle Larson, if he hadn't slapped the wall, would have hung in the top 10. It was the same type of slap on the wall that Brad Keselowski had in the Xfinity race on Saturday. Did the exact same thing. Got a little wobble out of 2 and just slapped the wall with the right rear and didn't do it any justice.
Good race on Sunday, and now we head back to the short tracks. Today's race at Bristol Motor Speedway. We'll get you more information on that coming up in turn number 4. And we're also, coming up in turn number 4, we're also going to preview the race next Saturday at Richmond because we'll go back under the lights for the first time. So we got 2 races to preview in turn number 4, Bristol and then Richmond. Real quick, I wanted to talk about a couple of things. Did you see the whole segment about Joey Logano and the telemetry that the 18 car was able to read off of their pit box? Did you see that whole thing? We've talked about this in the past, and we're able to see the real-time telemetry as the cars are going into the corner. We can see the angle, the degree that the steering wheel is turned. We're able to see how hard the gas pedal is being pushed and how hard the brakes are being pushed. And I know that's stuff that NASCAR has had access to, and I've always questioned when there was all this issues back in the day about, this is 3-4 years ago, we had all those restart issues. Well, if NASCAR has that much telemetry at their disposal, why can't they look at that telemetry and tell if somebody jumped the start, didn't go when they should have, or spun the tires? Because if you hammer the throttle and you're spinning the tires, the RPMs are going to spike, right? You're gonna hit the yeah. So they should be able to see that, and I've had that conversation a couple of times, and we've never heard anything about it. NASCAR's never said, no, we looked at the data and so this didn't happen. So this is whatever it was. But now I was really interested to see on Sunday during the Texas race. Kyle Busch was coming up on Joey Logano, who was a lap down. And the way that they came through the corner with a lap car to the outside of Joey pinned Kyle in a spot, and Kyle had to come out of the throttle and get into the brake and back off of his momentum. And then when they got clear, Kyle was able to get around. And Kyle said, boy, it sure seemed like Joey was going slow through the corner. And Adam Stevens, who is Kyle's crew chief, said, we watched his telemetry. He rode the brake the whole way through the corner, meaning that Joey saw him coming and got into the brake to slow his car down and stay with that lap car so that Kyle had to break his momentum. And there was no benefit. It wasn't like it was benefiting his teammate, Brad Keselowski, because Brad was out of the race at the time. It was just a force spite thing.
Well, I'm going to disagree just on one thing there. If he hadn't rode his brake, his car might have come around if he would have tried to accelerate. That is the absolute lightest part on the rear end, and that's when the car, if he's close enough on the outside, he's going to take the air off the outside, and if you try and accelerate, you're going to come right around. So only Joey knows what Joey did.
Right. That's very true. You're absolutely right on that part. I was surprised, and later on when we heard that radio chatter, and then about 10 minutes later, Fox actually showed what these crew chiefs were able to see, because they have the exact same thing in their command center at the Fox Sports broadcast booth. They've got every single car, lap times, gas pressure, brake pressure, and I'm assuming is what I was seeing, because they really didn't zoom in and look at this stuff very carefully. I was really surprised to find out that not only does the 18 team able to see their telemetry, but they're able to see all the other cars. I thought that would be something that NASCAR would lock down and say, you can look at your data, but don't look at any other team's data.
Well, they're not seeing the exact same. The only way they see the exact same thing as on TV is, as you've seen those pit boxes, they all got a TV. Mm-hmm. They've got the TV feed going on, and so they can see it if they show it that way. But they don't have as much data as what we see on TV on those monitors.
I'm telling you, they do. They showed exactly what the crew chiefs are allowed to, and it's from NASCAR. NASCAR allows them to have this. It's one monitor that sits in that big bank up there with the car chief and the crew chief up on top of the pit box, and it's information readout of every car's telemetry.
But it's nothing more than what you can't get through the television, is what I'm saying.
Right. But you don't have to have the TV look at it in order to see it. You don't. It's not like, because how often does NASCAR actually show, or the broadcast team actually show that data? They're able to see every single lap in real-time data of these cars, which on a competition level would be incredibly helpful for me as a crew chief, because if I'm the 18 team and the 2 team is beating me, I can watch when Brad's getting into the break, when he's getting into the corner, when he's gassing it up to get through the corner. I don't just have to guess now. I can actually see exactly when he's doing that. I can relay that to my guy and say, hey, he's getting into the gas coming out of the corner a little bit quicker than you are. Try it and see what you can do, and maybe that's how we gain our time.
Well, but if he's got a car that's set up different, it's not going to work.
Right.
You know, so
it's amazing what these guys are able to access. And every time that we go to Kansas and talk to these teams, we're continuously amazed that they're able to get some of the data they get.
And one car following another. I'll tell you right now, if Kyle Busch is following Brad Keselowski, he doesn't need anybody to tell him when Brad's hitting the gas and when Brad's getting on the brake. He knows from being behind him.
Yeah.
You can tell all that stuff at speed.
And it comes down to tenths now. They can tell exactly when he's getting back into the throttle. It's amazing information that they're able to see. Some of the other news and notes I wanted to cover. We talked about it a couple of weekends ago. The 2020 Cup Series schedule was released. Now NASCAR has released the 2020 Xfinity Series and Grandeur Outdoor Truck Series schedules. No real big changes. Did you get a chance to look it over?
I just saw a few things on it. Xfinity's going back to Martinsville for the first time in, if I'm not mistaken, about 12 or 13 years.
That's going to be October 31st. It's the round of 8 cutoff race. Xfinity Series going to go back to Iowa Speedway twice in 2020. June 13th, that's a Saturday, and then Saturday, August 1st will be their last visit to Iowa Speedway in 2020. In Kansas, October 17th is a part of the opening round of 8 for Xfinity Series also, and the Cup Series will be on Sunday the 18th for that opening round, and the Xfinity only goes to Kansas once, as they've done in the previous years. For the Truck Series, Kansas Speedway, Saturday, May 30th, and then a couple weeks later, they'll be heading over to Iowa Speedway Friday, June 12th for the Truck Series race. So Friday, June 12th, Saturday, June 13th, doubleheader, Iowa Speedway, Truck Series on Friday, and Xfinity Series on Saturday. Did any April Fool's jokes get you, whether it be on Facebook or anybody at all?
No, nobody got me.
I got had by my boss.
Did you?
I got it was perfect. She got me so good, and I applaud. But I pretty much stayed off of Facebook and didn't believe anything I read. I even read one report, which is one we'll talk about right now, that NASCAR is considering going back to single car qualifying, which happened to be posted on April 1st. And I thought, nope, I'm not going to believe it yet. I'll wait. We'll see, but I'll wait.
But no, that is an actual fact. And as we discussed last week, that was definitely a possibility. If they just can't get this other thing straightened out, they're going to have to do that. And
the stage qualifying, let's talk about this just a little bit. Did you watch the qualifying on Saturday?
No.
That turned into another debacle, and as much as I like to defend NASCAR and try to give them the benefit of the doubt, they fluffed that up about as good as they could. There was a situation in round 2, at the end of round 1, where Clint Boyer was pinned in by Ryan Newman, and Newman clearly disrupted the flow of the center lane, and NASCAR did nothing about it.
Correct.
And then the next round...
And Boyer was livid.
Right, as he should have been. Because he said before the qualifying even started, he was back there reading the book to understand what he could and couldn't do. And if you're going to create a rule like this, you have got to enforce it. I never did see anything. I never did see anything. A lot of times when I get frustrated that NASCAR doesn't enforce a rule, on Monday or Tuesday, they'll come out with a statement and say, this is why we didn't. And sometimes, okay, I can understand that. I see your point now. I still don't agree with it, but at least I see your side of it. I didn't hear hear anything. I didn't see anything. They fluffed it up about as good as they could.
Yeah.
And it, unfortunately, and now so it sounds like for the 1.5 and 2 mile tracks, they're going to go back to single car They're considering going back to single car qualifying. They'll continue to do the single car qualifying at Daytona, but it sounds to me like the short track races are going to remain in the group qualifying style.
Yeah, aero's not a big deal. I mean, and I very well know that from hanging templates on the trucks. When we came to Martinsville or to Bristol, you put about 2 templates on the nose just to make sure it was shaped like a truck. Other than that, templates weren't a big deal because the aero package wasn't a big deal.
Darrell Waltrip announced through a newspaper that he's going to be retiring at the end of this year. And can you imagine my reaction? I started cheering in my cubicle at work when I read the news report. Darrell Waltrip has been a big factor in the success of NASCAR during its previous days. And I think that he, in a small way, has contributed to its downfall in recent years.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree.
It is painful to listen to him do a broadcast. First off, the boogity. I'm sorry if you like it.
It was good for a year or two.
Yeah, I'm sorry if it's hokey now. And it really, when people tune in and hear that, they don't shake the image of we're just a bunch of illegitimate, inebriated rednecks, and he's perpetuating it. And I've that's irritated the heck out of me for many years, since about race number 3 when he started broadcasting. But anyways, and when they brought Jeff Gordon into the booth, you really did begin to realize how far off touch he is. Now, as a broadcaster, you can stay in tune with some of these guys, and you can make friends with them and talk about what they do in the car and learn some things like that. But Jeff Gordon knows the feel of these cars, and the fact that he hasn't been in a car for 20 years, and how many times has the car changed in 20 years? He last drove the car like the Generation 3, I think.
Well,
maybe
cars didn't really change until 2006. That was the major change.
The car of tomorrow came
Correct.
out, and
yeah,
before then about that time.
I mean, the cars had some changes in them, but 90% of them were adding a safety bar here or the Mark Martin bar or something like that in a cage from an injury. But yeah, the cars did very little changing.
In the last 13 years, they've changed tremendously.
Correct.
And I think it's I thank him for his time, and I'm excited that he's retiring, and I'll be interested to see who replaces him. Apparently, rumor has it that it's Kevin Harvick. That Harvick is going to retire at the end of this year from full-time competition, and he's going to fill in the broadcast booth. So much so that the media was asking him last weekend to Texas, and his PR guy said, "We are racing for Stewart-Haas Racing in 2020," and that's all he said.
Yeah, I don't see Harvick retiring yet. He's still got too much competitive fire. You can see it in him when he finishes second or third and they talk to him. You can see it in his eyes. He wants to keep driving. He wants wins. I know he wants another championship.
Oh, yeah. It'll be interesting to see, and I agree with you. I don't think he's going anywhere. He's still, he's like ranked 3rd in the points right now. It would be ridiculous for him to just say, okay, let's go. Let's give up my multi-million-dollar contract with Stewart-Haas Racing to go make $800 or $1.2 million with Fox. No.
And I personally don't think he's that good
in the booth.
Yeah,
he's got a lot of good insight.
He's got the racer mentality like Jeff Gordon does right now.
Well, what about Carl Edwards, by the way?
Oh, Carl will be good.
Carl's not doing anything.
He's farming, and that takes a lot of time.
And maybe
you got to watch them weather reports.
Oh, I know. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to be back in turn number 2. I never did talk about who's coming on the show today. The world-famous Toby Chapman is going to join us in turn number 2, along with his car owner, Jason Bogue. And I may have let something slip right there. We're going to come back in turn number 2, talk to Toby and Jason. And then in turn number 3, driving number 25 Sport Mod in Central and Western Iowa. Cody Thompson, also over here in Nebraska a little bit. He's going to be joining us, again, driving the number 25. Cody Thompson will join us in turn number 3. Then we'll get you set for this coming weekend's Bug Eater Bash at I-80 Speedway. And we'll get you set for Sunday's race at Bristol and next Saturday's race at Richmond. We're going to take a break. We'll be back on the front stretch.
Every race car driver has run into the same problem. It's well past normal parts store closing hours, but you need that one to finish your car. The guys who brought you White Knuckle Racing by the River bring you Joe's Karting Racing Parts and Tire Store. Open until 10 p.m. Monday to Thursday and open until 11 p.m. on Friday and Saturday. A parts store that fits your after-hours schedule, and you can turn a few laps at Joe's Karting while you're waiting for your part to get pulled from their warehouse. joeskarting.com for more information.
Racers all over the country are discovering the benefits of powder coating their chassis. Powder coating offers a clean, even finish you will be proud to show off to fans and sponsors. Plus, it's a more durable surface. While looking beautiful, powder coating offers superior protection against corrosive chemicals typically spilled during routine maintenance. Bare frames start at $275 with estimates available if blasting or reworking is needed. Get your quote today by emailing Jordan F. at redoakfabrication.com or by calling 712-623-4911.
First Detail Supply at 102nd and J offers you the same professional-grade products that are used in detail shops across the United States. With the high-quality detail products and the guidance you'll receive from First Detail Supply, your car, truck, motorcycle, or boat will shine with a lasting finish. Find out more about First Detail Supply by stopping in at 102nd and J Street or check out firstdetailsupply.com. Don't forget to mention Front Stretch and receive 10% off your purchase.
We're hooked up in turn 2 and still showing the green flag on the front stretch.
Welcome back to the front stretch. Having another Red Oak Fabrication interview. If you need to get your chassis powder coated, well, you can get it done at an affordable price just down the road in Red Oak, Iowa. Red Oak Fabrication will get your chassis powder coated for just $275 for a bare frame. Any reworking that needs to be done or sandblasting might cost a little bit more. So give Jordan a call today, 712-623-4911, or you can email him, jordanf@redoakfabrication.com. I know we're getting pretty close to the race season, but it's never too late to get your chassis powder coated, and they can get it turned around pretty quickly. I think he said most jobs are done within 24 to 48 hours.
Well, and if you get into the season and you got a new part or something that you go on to match up to the car, you can take it down there and he can get that turned over in no time.
Talking about Toby Chapman, sprint car driver throughout the area, and grumpy son of a gun. Driver of the 7K sprint car throughout the area. Toby, pretty good year last year. I think you picked up.
No, the year before.
Oh, year before was when you got those wins.
Yep.
Had a rough year last year.
Last year was a rough year. Yep.
I thought you had one race that you had won. Maybe you were just up there top 3.
Yeah, I've ran fairly good, but it just the motor just wasn't up to par like the one we had the year before. So.
You're kind of the racer I really enjoy. I think it's kind of the one that you do it mostly for fun. You're not out there. I mean, if you can win races, that's just awesome. But it seems to me like you're more about the guys that are pitted around you, the fans, and just going out and having a damn good time.
You know, it is about all the fans and having a good time, but, it sucks not winning.
The winning makes it fun.
Yeah.
Winning helps for those nights that you might have torn a couple things up.
Yes, it does for sure.
Kind of a rough year last year. Some nights on the track for Eagle, you could say
Eagle.
you could say what you want to. It's pretty tough to prep those tracks, especially with the fluctuating weather that we have. We'd be hot as hell, and then we'd get a couple inches of rain, usually like the day before the races, and so it kind of threw you guys for a loop a little bit.
Yeah, it did. It's Eagle is a tough place, period, to race. You know, I mean, it don't matter if there's holes or not. It's a stiff competition.
So I've heard there's a couple of different angles people take from this. The holes can be one thing. People can talk about how bad the holes are, but the funny thing with that hole is it doesn't only show up for certain drivers. It's there the entire time.
It's there all the time.
So is it kind of drivers are just that's the excuse they got to go with that? Now the reason why they didn't win.
That could be. I mean, I've been doing this long enough at Eagle now, where you got to drive around the hole.
Yeah. The guys who hit it and junk their car, I feel terrible for because sometimes you just get into traffic and you're not able to miss it. You have to go through that line. And I remember last year, I believe there was one year that it was deeper than a person.
Oh yeah,
it was laying down. It was pretty nasty.
I think they did have a picture of that last year.
Roger got it in hand late in the year and was able to have a pretty good Race Saver Nationals. Talk a little bit about your career into racing and how you got up into the sprint cars and how long you've been racing and that kind of fun stuff.
I've raced sprint cars only. That was it. Never raced anything else.
Nothing else? No hobby
So you're very
stocks?
diversified is what you're telling me.
Exactly. No, never raced anything. My ex-father-in-law, Lonnie Jensen, had a car, and he was driving for another guy, and they let me try it 20 years ago now, and here we are.
Any championships?
I got in 2006. I got ASCS championship from Midwest. So I've won the Nebraska Cup twice, and won with the 360 and the 305. Still have the track record at Eagle for the 305.
For a lap time?
Yep, for lap time. So yeah.
Well, that's something to hang your hat on.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a few nights they've came close, but They haven't got it yet.
Mostly 360 racing through most of your career?
For most of it, yeah. Yep. That's until they started the 305s. And
it's
at
tough
that
to.
time, I wasn't even racing it at that point in time. I'd maybe get a ride here and there, but when the 305 started, and then we kind of got back into it again.
That allowed you to be able to open up the finances a little bit more because it is the whole point of the series is to be more affordable.
Yeah,
and I think they hit it on the head pretty well.
Yeah, I think it's fairly good.
It's a competitive series that you could spend 35, 40 grand on your operation, but you're not going to be any faster than the guy who spent 15.
Exactly. Yep.
It comes down a lot more to the driver.
Yep.
How can we transfer that back up into the 360s?
I don't know how you could.
I think you can.
Air pressure.
Air pressure?
Engine.
Air pressure.
Yeah,
Knoxville used to run about 18 pounds in their right rear, and all the guys with the big engines used to, you build a big engine, you're not necessarily going to hook it up.
Blow the tire off.
Yeah, you're going to blow the tire off, so it puts the driver back in the equation. And, my brother said that, Jeff Bogue said that you need to really cut the motors down, to a flathead piston and have a spec head, which is what we have in Race Saver. But he said you got to cut the wings down a little bit more, I think. And he said if you'd cut the wings down and put the driver back in the car a little bit more too, because anybody can drive a car with a 25-foot, square foot wing, outlaw wing. And so I think that if you went back to 16 square foot wing, you'd see a lot more guys struggling because they wouldn't be used to a looser car, and you'd have to leave it to the mechanic and the driver a little more. But technology's taken over so much in racing, in every category of racing, that I think that you really need to, if you want to have those rivalries like you used to have, you really got to put the driver and a mechanic back into the racing equation, I think. And I think Race Saver is doing that, but it's good.
Toby, you want to disagree with your car owner at all?
I was going to say, Toby, why don't you introduce your car owner to everybody?
Yeah, my name's Jason Bogue.
Sorry.
I'll be driving the 40X car, the Bogue family race car at Eagle this year. So
No more number 7?
I'll have my number 7, and we'll take it on the road.
Yeah. So that'll be for the Sprint Series?
Yep. So we'll be doing that this year.
I've known this guy for a long time.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So
wow, and he's bragging about it.
Yeah, I've known him for a long time. So yeah, he's a good guy. And I've watched Toby's career for a long time, and when he went down to Belleville a couple years ago, and pretty much I thought put a really good race together down there in the A-Main, and pretty much let them Kansas boys know that Nebraska guys are pretty tough too. I was pretty proud of them.
Did you?
Yeah, we spanked them at Belleville,
Yep.
and then we spanked them in Oberlin, Kansas the first night, and the second night lap car took me out when I was leading it. So,
those lap traffic.
Yep. So, but it is what it is. It's racing.
It's a part of the sport.
Was it Ricky Stenhouse?
No.
Yeah.
So you've raced sprint cars all your life. Any thoughts about racing anything else? Do you ever want to try it? Maybe going into a late model?
I'd try
or
whatever, yeah. Somebody let me drive, I'd try it.
Kart race?
Well, sure.
You want to go race the 2016 Colorado? I'll turn off the traction control. And then I'll cash it in on insurance. When you get to the racetrack at night, like I kind of talked about at the beginning of the interview, you want to have fun, and I think you do a really good job with cultivating a fun environment at your trailer and having a good time, and it's just that's kind of got to be just a carryover from your regular life.
Oh yeah,
nothing gets to you, just an easygoing kind of fun guy.
I don't get too fired up, But
I've seen you mad once.
I have, When I do get mad, it's
Yeah.
Probably not good. But
I decided to walk away from your trailer after that.
yeah.
The words cannot be repeated on this radio show.
There's a couple guys out there that probably wish they hadn't came to my trailer.
Yeah.
But hey.
So if it's fun after the races, what do you got, a disco ball up in there, or what do you got going on?
Yeah. You just never know anything.
There's one ingredient.
Yeah.
It's usually a cold beer.
Yeah.
Just one?
Well, that's the ingredient.
There's more if there's victory.
Yeah.
The old Crown Royal, I like that quite a bit. So, yeah.
Are you a whiskey fan?
I am. I'm not much of a beer drinker.
I'm just getting into whiskey this
I've seen some of the girls
winter.
down at Eagle. You got a chrome pole in that trailer?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
We should have.
Or a spelling chart.
Yeah.
Gonna be so you're gonna be racing the 40X.
Yep.
Okay. For this year for the Point Series at Eagle, and then the 7X for the Sprint Series in Nebraska. Any other races you're gonna try? You plan on racing any 360s with the Nebraska 360s this year?
I don't know. I mean.
Toby, you got to get this figured out. I don't know if you noticed.
If the motor shows up in the shop, you mean?
If that motor shows up and the phone rings, I'll
Sponsors,
be there.
There you
go.
Those things aren't expensive.
Yeah, exactly.
$2 for a lottery ticket,
Yeah, I know. I was just telling Jay on the way up, well, I got to buy a lottery ticket today.
Yeah, we're getting one. We're putting a new car together, too. We got a new motor this year, and we'll have a second motor for 305.
Who's doing your motors?
Spawnell,
okay.
out of Cheney.
Yep.
There. So,
been around a while.
He's really impressed me. His mathematical skills is just the way he is just very precise, and he's a very good motor builder. Dean Woolen's helped me out for a lot of years. I got to give a shout out to him. He's a good motor builder. I had Klein engines back in the 360 days, and with my brother Jeff. And when we raced, and Lonnie Jensen, his father-in-law, raced for us too. And, we were always racing against Rick Ideas there for a while, always for the championship. It was us, there was 3 years in a row we were in the top two for both series, the out-of-town and the Eagle. And we always seemed to have to run second to that WRE engine. But Dean builds a really good motor too, so.
Who else you got sponsoring the ride?
I have Penelope's Little Cafe in Lincoln there. Very, very good place to eat. Home cooking, real food, not processed. Very good.
So
nice
there's no
lady.
Microwaves in the place?
There probably is to heat some stuff up, but they're good food.
Where are they located at down there?
Right there about 47th and Pioneers. Right
Okay.
there. There's a car wash right there, and the old Safeway that was down there on Pioneers.
No, I'm not from Lincoln, but I know the streets a little bit. So
you want a good breakfast. They got a really good breakfast too, and then I've had Husker Lock and Key, John. He's been a great sponsor of mine for about 7 years. We've just had a lot of great sponsors. M&M Trailers out of Palmyra. And we had Randy's Roundhouse. They sell trains and stuff, HO trains.
Oh,
and
okay.
N-scale
So
trains, hobby type deal. And he's up there in Meadow Lane area off 70th. And I think that's Vine up there. Yeah, and yep, just good people. Always been associated with very good sponsors. Ron Leifert sponsored us for 7 years. Rod's Outdoor Power sponsored us for 7 years. We've had really great people behind us for a long time.
And always looking for more.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we could definitely use some help. We're going to try to run for the championship at Eagle this year and try to be a top contender. We're trying to maintain a full schedule at Eagle Raceway. We won the 2003 360 championship with Jeff Lowry at Eagle. Yeah. And my brother and Jeff Lowry really did a real good job that year. The year 2002, we ran fourth in the points. But we've always had a very competitive car. My dad started this, George Bogue, since 1965, so we blame him for our problem and of our disease of racing. And my mom used to say you would cut us open and we'd bleed out little race cars, So, I just thought that was always funny. I told my mom, where did you come up with that? And she goes, well, it's true. So, yeah. And racing is a disease, so we can use sponsors.
It's an addiction.
Yes, it is.
Talking about racing for a title, you know how
but
much
work
that is.
I wouldn't trade anything for all the memories. We've had some bad memories too, but for the most part, 90% of it, 95% of it's always been just great people, working with great people and stuff. And we're real easy to get along with. We've always been real tough competitors, but after the races, we'll give you a beer or something, and people can come up and feel welcome around us. So
yeah, usually you can say, you can get your kids involved in racing. That way they won't have any money for drugs.
There you go. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I fortunately never had those problems, but we always been involved in racing somehow. My dad either had a race car. Kenny Greitz was a really good friend of my dad's. My dad was actually on his pit crew the day that he died at the fairgrounds, and Kenny told my dad he was either going to win it or it would kill him. And it killed him, and he was, I believe, 25. But my dad said that they used to actually drag race out to Eagle Raceway from 84th and O, And my dad would actually have to get over on the side because Kenny would never lift and he would never move for the oncoming traffic. And back in those days, I think that street was a lot narrower. And so you'd actually have 3 cars, one coming the opposite direction going west, and then them 2 were going east towards the racetrack with their trailers and race cars. And they'd be side-by-side drag race all the way out there.
That's
I was going to say, O Street out of Lincoln's Highway 2, right?
Yeah. And, my dad told him. Yeah. Highway 6, yeah. My dad always said that Kenny Greitz was just flat crazy, and he would drive as hard as anybody around. And he won the 1969 Knoxville Nationals, and that's a credit to guys around Lincoln,
there's been a ton of drivers come through.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is a hotbed of sprint car racing. And, when we won that championship in 2003 with Jeff Lowry, the first night out, there was 54 360 sprint cars in the pits at Eagle. And on average that year, there was 48 cars you had to beat. And then they'd ran 2 Bs, and out of those Bs, they would only take 2 cars out of the Bs, and they'd run like 14 to 16 cars in the Bs. And, that was just tough. And I think we made it we only ran 1 B that year, and thank God we made it into second. Otherwise, we would have been on the trailer. So, yeah.
You got to have a little bit of crazy in you to do this racing thing, though, don't you?
You do.
I mean, first off, to actually go out there and drive and to push the limits like you do.
A lot of bit of crazy, not a little bit, a lot of bit.
Well, I got plenty of that here, so,
Well, it's a whole lot of fun. I think, Toby, you probably have more fun than you should some nights.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a blast,
Finished Eagle points last year, 11th. I know you talked about not the year you were looking to have. Got to be excited about the new opportunities this year. kind of giving up the ownership and some of the responsibilities, but turning over to good hands.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this year, with the Bogues, and, they always have good cars, so hopefully we can get it done this year.
Toby Chapman, driver of the number 7X and the 40X. Going to be the 40X weekly out of Eagle Raceway and the 7X for the Sprint Series in Nebraska. Always do love talking to you, Toby. We'll see you at the track soon.
Hey, thank you.
We'll be back on the front stretch.
Guys.
We all have that coworker that runs their mouth off at how great they are. They shot a 5 under par, 95-mile-an-hour fastball, bench press 375, brah. Wouldn't you love to shut them up by schooling them at Joe's Karting? Council Bluffs' premier indoor karting track, professionally designed so each corner is your opportunity to embarrass your coworker. Call Buddy for your next company outing at 712-256-5278. Joe's Karting, white knuckle racing just across the river on 23rd Avenue next to AMC 17.
Your daughter's signing the finish line. She's in. Your grandpa air guitaring the pre-race concert. He's in. Soldiers saluting the flyover. They're all in. Fans holding their breath before a wreck. In. Drivers trash-talking on your headset after the wreck. Definitely in. The Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series race at Kansas Speedway. Saturday, May 11th, under the lights. Tickets at kansasspeedway.com. You in?
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things. Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Quaker Steak and Lube is the official watering hole of the front stretch and the home of MAV TV, featuring action from the Lucas Oil Late Model Series.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Located on Mid-America Drive in Council Bluffs.
Feather the brake and get back to the gas. Dan and Dirk are headed into turn 3 on the front stretch.
Welcome back to the front stretch. Time for another Red Oak Fabrication interview. Powder coating available at an affordable price. Get a full chassis powder coated for just $279. That's for a bare frame. If there's any reworking or sandblasting that needs to be done, it's going to be just a little bit more. Give Jordan a call today, 712-623-4911, or email him, jordanf@redoakfabrication.com. Red Oak Fabrication located in Red Oak, Iowa, on the intersection of Highway 48 and Highway 34. Get down there today. And not just chassis for powder coating, also parts and pieces can be done. And we know that as the race season wears on, you're going to need new A-frames and front bumpers and rear push bars and all sorts of stuff. You can get them powder coated for an affordable price in Red Oak, Iowa. Find them online, redoakfabrication.com, or message the Facebook page if you want to get a quick quote. Jordan will turn that around pretty quickly for you at the Red Oak Fabrication Facebook page. Join joining us now, a driver who is making his way up through the ranks. Started out in the Sport Mod class, but is now running in the Modifieds, racing the Sport Mod division, and doing pretty well for yourself. Cody Thompson, how you doing, sir?
Oh, not bad, you guys.
Appreciate you coming on the show. Been meaning to have you on for quite a while. You've been doing very well in your Sport Mod, but I first got to see you when you were racing weekly with your brother in the Sport Compact division at Crawford County and Shelby County.
Oh, yeah. We kind of traveled around quite a bit there when we were younger, racing them cars. But, yeah, now I ventured to the Sport Mod.
I really loved watching you guys at Crawford County because I've been a big fan of the Sport Compact class, probably because I was watching you guys race at Crawford County. And if it wasn't you and somebody else mixing it up, it was you and your brother. And sometimes you guys would lean on each other maybe a little bit harder than you should have.
Oh, yeah. When I lean on him a little bit, he'd get a little mad, but I just told him it is what it is. I got to go.
Well, and he'd lean back the next week. So it was
he'd get me back at some point.
I met you guys back in 2011 up at PJ. I was doing the tech up there, remember?
Oh, yeah, yep.
Did you DQ him?
I don't think I ever did.
Yeah.
I think we had a few talks, but no. I don't
What do you mean by talks? Did you pay him? Did you slip him Did you grease the tech official?
No, those guys, the kids didn't say nothing. Dad was doing all the talking.
Dad likes to get into it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yep. Dad did all the talking.
So you two were running Sport Compacts for quite a while. Did you go into a hobby stock or stock car, or did you jump right into the Sport Mod?
No, I just jumped right into the Sport Mod. I never raced anything else other than the Sport Mod. So,
how big a switch was it going from the front wheel drive to the rear wheel drive? Did you notice much?
Yeah, I really think that I have a lot of help behind me, but I really think the Sport Mods are really easy to drive compared to the front wheel drive stuff. They're meant to turn, unlike the front wheel drive stuff. So yeah, I think they're a lot easier to drive, to be honest.
And then, so you've been racing the Sport Mod for a couple of years, hitting the specials throughout the area, and you've won quite a few of them and doing very well in the Sport Mods.
Yeah, it kind of picked up, a lot faster than I thought. But, like I say, it's, racing some of them bigger specials makes you only as good as your competition. So that's what I told myself. If I want to be better, I got to go race better competition.
Whose chassis you got underneath you?
I race a Harris chassis, and then I also got a CRC for Maskey Motorsports I drive. And then that's all I got.
You're out of the Sioux City area, so where's kind of your home tracks?
I race Park Jefferson weekly, and then Raceway here and there whenever I feel like going there. I kind of like the bigger tracks, but I don't mind racing short tracks. But if we ain't out at the lake boating or something, we decide to go racing. Last minute, change the gear and pull some tires out of the trailer and put them on and go. Put some fuel in it. And
it sounds like you're more of a fun racer than a weekly points racer.
Yeah, me and my brother raced that weekly points stuff when we were in the Sport Compacts, and it just, I have more fun traveling around to different racetracks and racing other racers, and I just have more fun doing that than racing. Racing the points deal makes you stressed out, and then you got to make sure everything. You got to be spot on, every week to maintain like the points lead, or if you want to win the points, you got to have really good consistency, and so that's what it takes.
You talked about racing Interstate or Raceway Park. I mean, it's had several names. I remember when I was up there in 11, I was talking to one of the local racers up there, and he goes, "I only go over there when I know I'm going to reskin my car the next week."
Yeah.
I think there was some news about Interstate that they lost their promoter all of a sudden.
Yeah, I'm really not sure the whole details there, but I think Adam decided to back out of it and pursue just Park Jefferson only. So,
and those guys are from like Sioux Falls area or something?
I believe so, Sioux Falls or Minnesota or something. I'm not really 100% sure.
I mean, they're not local to Sioux City there. Yeah, that I know.
Well, you interested in becoming a promoter? They're open. They're looking.
Maybe when I get a little bit older and not race as much.
When you have grandkids, you mean?
Yeah.
What is the plan for the racing world? Do you want to move into a modified one of these days? Maybe a super or a sprint car?
Yeah, I'd love to race like a US MTS modified. That's my dream car to race, or a super late model or something, But I don't know. After the sport mod deal, it's convenient. It's not as much work as like a modified, or a late model. I've liked to race an A mod or a USMTS car or something.
That's nice. I mean, that's it. So a super or sprint car is probably not in your. You wouldn't turn it down, but you also wouldn't go race weekly.
Right, yeah. I wouldn't race a sprint car weekly or something, but I wouldn't mind driving one once.
Yeah. Get that speed factor.
Yeah, see what it's about and just turn some laps in one once,
Favorite win so far?
Probably the Charlie Clark Memorial. I don't know. I just felt like I just flat out dominated that race, and that's just what I like, is kind of like just dominating races.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Really?
I don't like that.
You like that, huh?
I prefer somebody right next to you and battling.
Yeah, there's a couple races where the lap traffic, I mean, when I'm really far stretched out there, the lap traffic makes it kind of, all right, now I got to get it back up on the wheel, and kind of watch these guys, see where they're going and see what the track's changing. And, you kind of, if you're out in the lead there, sometimes you can base it off the lap cars, what the track's doing and stuff, so.
You've got I-80 Speedway figured out to the point where I'm hearing guys in the pits that are saying there's no way he could be that fast legal. He's got to be doing something.
Yeah, I get that a lot. But I don't know. I spend a lot of time in the shop and on the scales and kind of do my homework on that stuff, and it shows. It pays off. If you slacken a little bit, it'll show on the racetrack.
Well, they say that about Anthony Roth, too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Is it frustrating when people don't want to give you the credit and they just got to say, oh, he's cheating?
Yeah, it does a little bit, but then sometimes I just kind of smile and be like, yep, goes show who's doing their homework.
Yeah.
Well, if you can find it, let me know.
Yep.
Any big are you wanting to win a track championship anywhere? Do you have a certain track in mind that you'd love, or would your pinnacle of racing be a USMTS championship?
I mean, I've won a few track championships. I don't think they really mean as much as what they used to. I think there's more like big name races that people are like, yep, this is a race I want to win. That's what I kind of look at it like that. I've won multiple track championships, whether it's in a compact or my sport mod. I only got one in the sport mod, but it's just, I don't know. Like I say, it's just not as much fun as racing, traveling around versus racing at a track every week after week.
Well, we were talking to Tim McCoy, and he's kind of the same thing. He's got a couple of tracks that he wants to run weekly at just to get more experience because he's only in his second year. But his favorite thing is going and racing the big specials, because you show up to the weekly races and there's usually 2 or 3 guys that are competing for the win. You show up to a big race like a Charlie Clark or something at the Boone Super Nationals, and almost everybody in that A feature is a good contender to win that race.
Yeah, I agree. It's, like at the Cornhusker, we had, I think it was Josh Sink and Lance Borgman sitting on the front row, and I'm not sure off the top of my head who's all in the second row, but there's some pretty good cars in the top 3 rows there, and one slight bobble from someone, the guy in third place could end up being the feature winner or something, within the top 10. There's so many good cars down in this area, that's why I like coming down there.
You talk about being very hands-on with the car and doing your homework. Do you have a crew that kind of helps you out on a weekly basis, or is it pretty much you?
I mean, my dad will help me once in a while. He likes changing the gears, and my brother, he likes messing around with the body work a little bit, and but sometimes he's helping Abelson or someone else. He doesn't quite venture over in the summer, but in the wintertime he's kind of hands-on, and he likes to learn some of the stuff.
You can't even get your brother to stay with you full time?
No, sometimes I can't, but it's like sometimes with my work schedule I go by myself, and but we would have everything prepared. Say if I mess up a door strap or something, we'd have some pre-made. We just go to the trailer, grab it out, bolt it on, and same with the body angle. We just have it race ready, so it's put it on and go.
I know you've had some issues every once in a while, which a lot of people do in tech inspection. And does that get frustrating when I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt? I'm going to say you were trying something new, and this guy sitting next to me is the complete opposite of me, to where he's like, no, it says an 1/8 tolerance. you don't push it to a quarter. It's an eighth tolerance, but sometimes you got to experiment around to find some new areas, and you get caught.
Yeah, I mean, like that, the red box deal, I really, to this day, I don't know what was really causing the issue, but it was a brand new car, and like the carb spacer deal, Chad admitted to it, that was his fault. He didn't read the rules fully, just read that you could have a 1-inch spacer, didn't read below, certain part number you could have, and and I personally don't run a carb spacer on my car, and then that's one lesson we learned is fully read the rules. So
yeah,
it's
got to be frustrating for you because you're the guy sitting in tech inspection, and it's not Chad failed tech inspection, it's Cody Thompson failed tech inspection.
Yeah, it kind of makes your name look bad, but then after you get them guys out there, oh well, he probably ain't gonna pass it again, and then you go out there and you got some of the best tech officials in Sioux City and wherever you go, there's pretty good tech officials. But then you pass their inspections after the race, and it's like, all right, now what you got,
Yeah. Yep.
So.
Thanks some of them sponsors that are helping you get around to the racetracks this year.
Oh, I gotta thank Maskey Motorsports for all they do for me, and Jervis Shocks, Jervis Motorsports Shocks Service up in Simcoe, Wisconsin. K&J Reynolds, Reich Painting, Abelson Auto Body, Roth Racing Performance. I'm sure I'm forgetting a few. I got so many people behind me that helps out a ton. The Trudeau family, Black Widow Racing. There's like I say, there's so many. It's without their support and help, this wouldn't be able to happen.
Who's your go-to guy at Harris?
I really don't use anybody at Harris. I just kind of use Abelson and Reese Coffee, and they, help me out. My Harris car is a 2010, so them cars are kind of popular back in the day, and people knew quite a bit about them. So Reese and Chris both raced for Maskey back in the day, so they're pretty familiar with them.
Yeah, Chris got a little knowledge.
Yeah.
Cody Thompson and the number 25 machine. Best of luck to you in 2019. Can't wait to get you on the show again.
Yep, thank you. I appreciate you guys for having me.
We'll be back on the front stretch.
First Detail Supply at 102nd and J offers you the same professional-grade products that are used in detail shops across the United States. With the high-quality detail products and the guidance you'll receive from First Detail Supply, your car, truck, motorcycle, or boat will shine with a lasting finish. Find out more about First Detail Supply by stopping in at 102nd and J Street or check out firstdetailsupply.com. Don't forget to mention Front Stretch and receive 10% off your purchase.
Racers all over the country are discovering the benefits of powder coating their chassis. Powder coating offers a clean, even finish you will be proud to show off to fans and sponsors. Plus, it's a more durable surface. While looking beautiful, powder coating offers superior protection against corrosive chemicals typically spilled during routine maintenance. Bare frames start at $275 with estimates available if blasting or reworking is needed. Get your quote today by emailing Jordan F. at redoakfabrication.com or by calling 712-623-4911.
Hey, look at that. You're sitting on your couch playing Halo, Madden, or NASCAR while your friends are at Joe's Karting. Each lap is an adrenaline-filled, heart-pumping, white-knuckle experience that you can only get at the Metro's largest indoor karting track. Eco-friendly Honda engines rip you around the professionally designed road course at breakneck speeds. Can you reach the 14-second lap bracket? There's only one way to find out. Put the controller down and get to Joe's Karting, 23rd Avenue in Council Bluffs next to Quaker Steak and Lube.
It's checkers or wreckers as we enter turn 4 on the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs.
Welcome back to it. Rolling into turn number 4, just about ready to wrap this baby up. Presented by Quaker Steak and Lube, the official watering hole of the front stretch. Get over to the Lube today for all of the green flag action at Bristol Motor Speedway.
All of it?
Every single lap. Coverage begins at 12:30 on Fox and PRN. If you want to catch all the action but you don't want to pay for the Fox broadcast, just head over to Quaker Steak and Lube and enjoy it in person. Lube tubes, wings, all sorts of great food available, including those tater tots that I've been talking about for a couple of weeks. Make sure to get yourself some of the new tots that are on the spring menu at Quaker Steak and Lube. Let's see, today's race at Bristol. This time last year, Kyle Busch ended up picking up the win after finishing second in stage number 2. Led 5 times for 117 laps. Kyle Larson came home second, Jimmy Johnson in third, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in fourth, and Alex Bowman rounded out your top 10. top 5. Eric Almirola, Kevin Harvick, Clint Bowyer, Joey Logano, Ryan Newman rounded out your top 10. Ryan Blaney started 5th, finished 35th. Martin Truex Jr. started 26th, finished 30th. Chase Elliott started 16th, finished 29th. Eric Jones, 26th. Brad Keselowski, 23rd. Kurt Busch, 22nd. Quite a few of the typical big-time drivers sitting back in the back at Bristol Motor Speedway, which can happen really, really quickly.
Yeah, when you're running around there at 120 miles an hour in a bumper car, things can go wrong in a very short period of time. Have not heard yet if they are doing the tire drag and treat the track thing yet.
I have not heard that either. The fall race at Bristol Motor Speedway, which happened on Saturday night, August 18th. Kurt Busch.
So not the fall race. That was still the summertime.
Well, it's fall enough.
Well, now they're moving it next year to the fall, and it'll be in the chase. So,
August 18th, Saturday night race. Kurt Busch picked up the win. Kyle Larson came home 2nd. Chase Elliott in 3rd. Joey Logano in 4th. Eric Jones rounded out your top 5. Bowyer, Blaney, Bowman, Johnson, and Harvick your top 10. Looks like Blaney won stage 1. Logano won stage number 2. Kurt Busch finished 7th, 9th, and then won the race.
And Kurt Busch has done very well. It's probably his favorite track. He's got like 6 or 7 wins at that place. And so if you take a Busch in this race Saturday in Fantasy League, you're probably in a pretty good spot.
Bubba Wallace finished 38th. Martin Truex Jr. finished 30th again. Started 26th in the first race, finished 30th. Started 17th, finished 30th in this race. He was 69 laps off the pace.
Well, I think NASCAR gives you a patch when you do that, kind of like throwing 3 games the same score in bowling.
You think so? You think that made him feel better? So maybe Martin Truex Jr. not really the best guy to pick today. Just saying.
Yeah, well.
And he's been struggling since switching over to Joe Gibbs Racing, so it's been interesting to see their adjustment when you would have expected they could have just taken off.
Well, I wonder if the powers that be at Gibbs have kind of reined in Cole Pearn a little bit.
Why would you do that?
I don't know.
Well, maybe because they got caught a couple of times for pushing the limits. They got popped a couple of times last year for illegal cars.
Yeah, but that just means they're trying.
Yeah. Richmond, which we're going to go to coming up Saturday night. So today's race at Bristol, and then we come back Saturday night for our first night race. Kyle Busch ends up picking up the win. Chase Elliott comes home 2nd. Denny Hamlin 3rd. Joey Logano 4th. Kevin Harvick 5th. Johnson, Larson, Keselowski, Bowyer, and Suarez rounded out your top 10. Joey Logano won stage 1 and 2, finished 4th. Kyle Busch 6th in stage 1, 6th in stage 2, ended up winning the race. Austin Dillon led 4 times for 121 laps. Joey Logano led twice for 92 laps. Kurt Busch led twice for 98 laps.
Well,
so those are your big lap leaders. This was the early race this time last year at Richmond.
Now, it might be interesting to see exactly what Austin Dillon can put together coming back there, because he's been mediocrely strong the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
You know, he's had some good runs in there, and maybe he can put something together and win a short track race. Who knows?
The fall, the can I say fall race for this one? September?
Yes, you can.
Is that fall?
After September 21st is the fall.
Okay. this time, the fall Richmond race, September 22nd. Kyle Busch picks up the win. Kevin Harvick comes home 2nd. Truex Jr. in 3rd. Chase Elliott in 4th. Eric Almirola with a top 5 finish. Austin Dillon, Kyle Larson, Jimmy Johnson, Brad Keselowski, and Clint Bowyer rounded out your top 10. Martin Truex Jr. won stage 1 and stage 2, came home in 3rd. Kyle Busch finished outside of the top 10 in stage 1 and stage 2, but ended up picking up the win on the day. Martin Truex Jr., as you would expect, led 3 times, 163 laps. 67 laps led for Brad Keselowski. And 92 laps led for Kyle Busch. So those are your big lap leaders. Today's race, don't forget to get your picks in on time for the Pick'ems contest presented by Rick Havenridge of Wealth Partners. Find out more about Rick Havenridge and what he could do for your finances by going to rickhavenridgeadvice.com. Wealth Partners is a financial advisory practice of Ameriprise Financial Services. Find them online, truewealthpartners.com, or go directly to Rick's website, rickhavenridgeadvice.com. And we got to be guests of Rick's a couple of weeks back as we got to tour their new facilities.
Yep, just a week ago, right off 118th and 118th and Miracle Hills Drive, and putting together a real nice place. Didn't even have it all done yet, but they were evidently several weeks behind. But they had piles of pictures sitting in the offices, but nothing on the wall. Of course, none of the pictures were race cars. It was kind of disgusting.
Yeah, we were going to have to work on that with him, right?
But no, it was a nice evening. Got to chat, and
Great
he
food.
showed us around. I didn't go over and get anything. My stomach was a little upset, so I drank a glass of Sprite, and that was my limit for the night.
Picks for today's race at Bristol due by 1 p.m. Central Time. Picks for Saturday night's race at Richmond due by 5:30 p.m. Saturday, and that's for both contests. And this is the final two races of the Kansas Speedway Crewman for a Day contest. As we go into the final time, we'll check in before we announce the contestant. The standings start to separate just a little bit. SHR Racing, who is R.L. Smith, 170 points, has a 9-point lead over Patrick Watkins in second, Chet Stambaugh in third, Aaron Roth in fourth, and Kathy Bodammer in fifth. Two-way tie for fifth, but it's a pretty close race.
So it took 3 races to break the logjam at the top.
Yep. And now we'll go to back-to-back short tracks, and we'll all clog right back up again. And then we'll announce that winner when we're live next Sunday morning. Speaking of that, let's see. Races to come this weekend. If I miss any, I greatly apologize, but I-80 Speedway is going to be back at it with Grand Nationals and Modifieds for the annual Bug Eater Bash, Modified Sport Mods, Stock Cars, Brag & Right Late Models, and the Sprint Series of Nebraska will be in the house. That means Stan Cesar will be in the booth with the SSN of the Race Saver 305s. They're going to have open practice for all the classes on April 11th from 6 to 9, and then that's coming up this Thursday night. And then Friday night on the 12th, they will have all the action. Again, featuring the Sport Mods, Modified Stock Cars, Brag & Right Late Models, and the Sprint Series in Nebraska. Racing action on Friday kicks off at 7. On Saturday, it kicks off at 6 o'clock. All right, that's going to do it for us today. Dirk and I will be back next weekend. We'll be live to recap the action at Bristol and Richmond. We'll announce the Crewman for a Day contest winner, and we are getting so close to announcing the Iowa Speedway Crewman for a Day contest winner, which is going to be coming up in July, so make sure you're listening for that. And then we've got so much to do next weekend. You're just going to have to tune in next Sunday morning to hear it all over, hear what we have to say. For Dirk Houston, I'm Dan Taylor. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back next weekend. This has been The Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
The camper flying 18 flags is in. The guys on pit road are in. Second graders with mohawks, in. Bratwurst for your 25 closest friends. Bring it in. And because it's BYOB, your soft cooler is always in. The Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series race at Kansas Speedway. Saturday, May 11th, under the lights. Tickets at kansasspeedway.com. You in?
Every race car driver has run into the same problem. It's well past normal parts store closing hours, but you need that one to finish your car. The guys who brought you white knuckle racing by the river bring you Joe's Karting Racing Parts and Tire Store. Open until 10 p.m. Monday to Thursday and open until 11 p.m. on Friday and Saturday. A parts store that fits your after-hours schedule, and you can turn a few laps at Joe's Karting while you're waiting for your part to get pulled from their warehouse. joeskarting.com for more information.
The official watering hole of The Front Stretch has you covered any day of the week with the best wings, great burgers, and amazing steaks. Each weekday from 4 to 6 is happy hour, featuring $1 off draft and well drinks plus $4 Luberitas. Mondays are kids' night. Tuesdays are all-you-can-eat wings for $12.95, and the lube even delivers to the Council Bluffs area. Like Quaker Steak and Lube Council Bluffs on Facebook for a full list of weekly events.
Get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Mid-America Drive, Council Bluffs.
This has been the Front Stretch Radio Show, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. To contact Dan or Dirk, find them on Facebook at The Front Stretch or email them at frontstretch590@gmail.com. If you missed any part of today's show or want to hear a previous show, subscribe to the Joe's Karting YouTube page, where you can find almost every Front Stretch show.